I don't remember. For the life of me, I don't really remember what this does or what it's supposed to do, but it has something to do related to fire. This is where I need Ewout to sort of reminds me of these things, but it was from Amsterdam in 2017. And so if any of you remember what to do with this and where the link to the directions are, send it on to me in Zulip chat, please. I have to try that. It's one of those things I picked up and put on my shelf because I didn't have time to deal with it at the time. 4 years later, who knows? So
well,
today,
put it closer to the camera. We want to see what it is.
Well, you can't really see. It's a board. it's a board, but it says DevDays on it, and it's got some circuits on it. And there's another board that's on this that I stuck into this patch thing, and then all these jumpers. And there's a battery that goes to which lights up a little LED. I don't know. If you weren't there, you wouldn't know. If you were there, let me know. But meanwhile, we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about day 2 of DevDays. And wow, what a great day. I mean, it was an extraordinary plenary today with the 3 most recent national coordinators in the US. My one regret is that we needed another hour with them. We barely got started before the session was over. And that's kind of an unfortunate consequence of DevDays. There's just so many things going on. You can't possibly see all of them, no matter what Ewout says. And I do encourage you to go back and revisit some of the sessions that are being recorded because there is a lot of information. Today, as I said, we got a little more hands-on in some areas. I attended Mark Kramer's fish profiling session. That was pretty interesting. I hadn't seen it before. Really good job. And it's a good example of how the fire ecosystem is expanding and permeating throughout and just basically setting off new areas of interest. And of course, I have attended in the past the use of Firely Forge for profiling. That's one of the most critical parts of fire is getting that piece down. We also had talks on Argonaut. We had talks on a pretty interesting talk on what Google's doing. My gosh, they seem to have the entire life cycle covered with all the things they're doing in a huge library, open source library in Git. So that's another one that's worth seeking out. And this is not to say that the others were not. It's only that some of us had phone calls from our day job and could only go to one session at a time if we were going to try to get anything out of it. Chair yoga was pretty intense today. I felt that one a little bit, much stronger than yesterday. So we're just building up towards later in the week, and that will continue, I think. Coming up next is a couple more pub talks today. One has the intriguing topic of whether R5 will be the last version of Fire, so that should be interesting. I hear some report outs from those ones in particular. I don't think we did that yesterday. Yeah, we hope to get to R5 and hope to get it out the door next year. But it's very clear that for every step forward we take with Fire, people want to open several more doors, and so will be interesting to see how it evolves. I think Graham had his fireside chat today, and one of the interesting things there was that the sense of gratification he's feeling to see that Fire is actually solving problems and making a difference in lives now. And that's the reason we're all here. So that's really, really interesting. Mapping is an ongoing topic too. I think Hans gave a pretty interesting talk on V2 to Fire mapping, but there are several sessions that are covering that throughout. And then the other pub talk right after this is Battle of the Data Models, which certainly involves a certain amount of mapping. I know I've been working with Graham and others on trying to make a more pronounced connection with the OMOP data model, but there's a lot of them out there. And the Battle of the Data Models doesn't seem right. It's really more of it's a round table. Let's get the data models to work together that can take advantage of all the things Fire can do in terms of data delivery. Tomorrow, we're going to start off with another interesting plenary. This one's covering multiple different topics. So we'll have an initial topic on COVID-19. COVID's been a theme through many of the talks because it's hard to think of anything else, given that we've all been living with it for 15 months now. And there's a doctor track presentation and a patient track presentation. So we'll get a lot more deeper view into different perspectives on what Fire is doing. So I do encourage you to see that session. Tomorrow also ends up with Dave Rudolph, who's going to be doing the British re-invasion. I had the privilege of seeing Dave a few months ago, and while it's going to be hard for him to reach the bar we set in Boston with the comedian, I'm sure he'll do better than that. He will go through the history of British music coming to the US in the 60s and 70s. He knows hundreds of songs, and he knows how to pull them together. He takes get your requests in, because it's nice to challenge him to see if he knows that one. I'm going to be looking for The Crazy World of Arthur Brown from the famous song Fire. We haven't heard that one yet. Need a video on Arthur Brown. And we'll have another whole series of talks tomorrow covering all kinds of different ground. Looking forward to seeing you then. Thanks to all of you who found the time to chat with me for a couple of minutes, since I know how busy and tired everyone must be after a day full of presentations. So if you want to go to one of those pub talks, I suggest you get there in a hurry, because they do have limits and they close off early. And until then, we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks again for joining us here at Fire Dev Days. Bye-bye.